Welcome back to another episode. Today's episode, Cognitive Distortions, Warped Patterns of Thinking. And there are 7 I will be discussing: catastrophizing, all or nothing thinking, filtering, fortune telling, emotional reasoning, should statements, and personalization. So the first one, catastrophizing. You tend to assume the worst will happen and worry about all the things that could possibly go wrong. So this is like some heavy negative thinking. It's worst case scenario right off the bat. We don't think of any of the positive outcomes, just all the negative and any and everything that can go wrong and nothing that can go right. The next one, all or nothing thinking. This is also referred to as black and white thinking. This is when you think in absolutes, no middle ground. There's no shades of gray, and you only see things in extremes. So this kind of goes with the catastrophizing, because again, it's pretty much this or that, and usually this or that is on a very extreme level. The next one, filtering. Mental filter where you can only see or focus on negative details. As you can see, as we're going along in this, it's again heavy on the negative thinking, heavy on the negative aspects of everything and the details of everything. So an example of this is paying attention only to failures and none of your successes. So every time you fail, you give that a lot of your attention, you obsess over it, and focus on that and not that with which you accomplish. Even within, sometimes when we fail, there's some good that did come out of it, but we can't see it, we can't focus on it because we're so focused on the negative. The next one, fortune telling. Spend time making predictions or jumping to conclusions about things that you have no evidence for, like things that'll happen or what someone is thinking or feeling. Sometimes this is a big one for me. I talk myself out of situations, places, opportunities, because I'm thinking ahead of what ain't even took place, right? I'm thinking of, what are these people going to say? What are they going to think? Will I do well at this? Or should I just, count myself out before I count myself in? Moving along. Emotional reasoning. This is when you believe that your feelings and thoughts are hard evidence of the way things are. So another example of this, like when you feel like a failure, then you believe that you are, right? So kind of going back to filtering, where we focus on failures, not success. And then we begin to have emotional reason with ourselves that, I really am a failure. Next one, should statements. You live by a set of rules and use words such as should and have to, and these create strict expectations for yourself, others, and you feel disappointed or guilty when they are not met. And sometimes these are heavily influenced by society. And we see this, in the ever-growing world of social media, where we now put ourselves in a place where I should do this, I have to do this, I should be doing this, and I have to accomplish it at this time and by this time, or whatever the case might be. And then that's what we live by. Then we take people in our lives and we put that on them as well. And then when we or them let us down, now we're disappointed, right? So the final one, personalization. You take blame for things that are not your fault and out of your control. And this could be even in situations where, let's say it occurred, something happened, right? And it wasn't the best, situation, wasn't the best outcome. So now we play back, well, if I did this or did that, then maybe this would have happened. And we dwell on that thing, and we can't move forward. So, I wanted to really discuss this because this is something that I struggle with myself. At times, it's one more than the other, but we spend a lot of time in our mind, right? and we're not always kind to ourselves. And I wanted to kind of put these out so that we can identify when it is happening and put in the work to try and change our thought process and how we think about things. And it's not, I don't think it's a how-to that can be applicable to everyone, because it's going to look different. But the first thing is being able to identify that we have any of these warped patterns of thinking before we can truly put in that work to try and change it. And the best thing for me is when I get caught up in these warped patterns of thinking, truly it's no, out of the box or something that I had to go and talk to 20 therapists about, but it's simply in that moment changing that thought like that. The minute I have whatever that negativity is, flip it. And that's what works for me. It's not to say that sometimes I don't, get a little far gone in my thoughts, but what I'm saying is what works for me is I have to talk to myself and talk myself out of the thinking that I'm having. Thank you as always for tuning in. Thank you as always for listening, and see you next time.